Hello. This video is a bit more of a yappy philosophical video, honestly. So before I get into it, obviously the conclusions are subjective, but I just wanted to talk about flowers and the transience of beauty, and what makes flowers or the springtime beautiful. Why do we like? Why is it beautiful? And what is the beauty from them being there, or them dying, or knowing they'll come back next year? So the way I like in spring, there's so many small beauties, right? So many small flowers, and I have a few photos I might try and show. And the thing is, it's really easy to just to not notice them, right? Small flowers on the side of the pavement, or trees and cherry blossoms, which you walk past. But even if you don't really pay attention to them, it's just it will you will subconsciously be aware of them, and they will be a part of your background, and they'll just lift your spirits. I feel a similar thing in autumn, and I think both of these times when make me think about how there is a lot of underlying philosophies you can extract from comparisons to nature, such as the falling of the autumn leaves, and in this case the flowers and their brevity and, well, them being there, because everyone agrees the flowers are beautiful, right? Like, I don't get, there's not much for debate when you see something like, I don't know if they show nicely, but how many photos are there? Yeah, like this, right? And they just, those flowers look really nice and red, I swear, and it just is really nice to look at. And so they're there, but the thing is, you also know that all the flowers are fleeting. The daffodils will become wilted. The cherry blossoms will eventually shed their leaves, right? The whole rows of daffodils, right? I discussed this a while back, but like it looked so nice. So then, the thing, first of all, one thing is I tend to really pay attention to these things, partly because of the I think about it and about sometimes what they can mean, but also I like to try and remind myself sometimes about the good. So I actually take photos, right, clearly as you can see, and I tend to like save them away just so I can remind myself even when I'm feeling bad. Okay, it's not always bad. There's plenty of good things, right? Um, Not everyone does that, of course, but that doesn't mean that people don't value the flowers. So then there's a bunch of questions you could ask. Do the flowers being fleeting, do the flowers being fleeting make them worthless or more beautiful? And is it worth valuing them? Because, I mean, you know they will be there again next year. And at the end of the day, do you ever really care that some bloom earlier than others? And what makes them beautiful? Is the beauty in them appearing, or is it in them? Is that in them? Sorry, is the beauty in them being reliable and coming back next year, or is the beauty in them dying and not being there after a few weeks? Like daffodils, like one time I was walking back through the park, they looked really nice, and I thought, oh, I should walk through here one bit more often. 2 weeks later, I tried to, and they were gone. So I think the main idea is that like you savor the beauty, right? There's a lot of different philosophies. One that I read last year in class was Stoicism, and specifically Seneca's. But you can't. I think at the end of the day, you can't take the flowers for granted. Stoicism would tell you that it's okay. There's going to be other flowers, but I think the idea is that even though they come back, they're not truly replaceable. But first of all, what makes the flowers beautiful, I think, is the contrast, because obviously winter is infamous for being rather bleak, right? You have Christmas, sure, but then there's not much scenery to see. And then suddenly you have these little flowers and tulips and all over the place. And it's just really nice, and it brings you up pure joy. So I think so that for that reason you can't take them for granted. But while they're there, be grateful for them. They'll come back a year later, so you could say, oh, they're replaceable. But I think that doesn't mean that they're worthless, because each flower is different in of its own right, and I think also they don't have a purpose, right? Like they look nice to us, but it's not like they're flowering specifically to look nice to us. They're not even flowering for the purpose of looking nice to flowers, to bees, sorry, to be pollinated. They're just there. I think also there's the idea that not everything has to have a purpose. Some things just are. Like as an atheist who doesn't believe in any afterlife, I don't think there's any meaning inherently to anything in this world, and flowers very much bring that out. They're just a brief shout and a defiance and an exclamation of joy and serendipity. So they look the same, but they're different in their own rights. Then the question is the beauty in them being reliable and being there next year, or is the beauty in them going? Because you could also say, well, what's the point in caring about the flowers, right? I see these beautiful sights, but they'll be gone in 2 weeks. So surely I could just not care anyways. They're going to be gone anyways. But I think that's what I'm really repeating myself. You enjoy them being there, right? It's the small things in your day-to-day life that make a difference, which you might not notice. I think I had a great example of this last year. So one of my teachers, who is the class teacher, or kind of, I have to sign in with him every morning. So last year in the spring term, he had a paternity leave, so he was gone for a few weeks. And one thing I noticed, which I hadn't really paid attention to before, is that while he was gone, whenever I walked past his class, right, I out of habit looked in and just to try and see him, but then I remembered he's not there, and my heart sunk slightly because I really like that teacher. He's so fun. So then it's partly the idea that you can take stuff for granted, but isn't really, and there's a lot of small stuff which you don't notice, but they make a difference to you. I think that in the same way that I didn't really think about my teacher being there as anything, and only realized after he came back, oh man, him being in his classroom actually means something to me. It's nice just seeing him there. I think in the same way, flowers and the beauty of nature is a similar matter. I think okay, Seneca, like he's the one writer I'm thinking of particularly, and what he wrote was the fact that people will die, your family members will die, but it's all right because it's like flowers on on a tree. They'll go back and they'll be replaced, which sounded on the surface incredibly bad. You're comparing people and your family members to trees and to flowers regrowing, but I think that on the one hand, there's no point feeling remorse on them being there because it's very easy to look at the flowers and think, oh, okay, but they're not going to be there for that long. So I should feel sad because it's transient, it's fleeting, it's not really meaningful. And then, but I don't think I don't think that's how it should be because their mere existence is the beauty. It's not in the dying, it's not in the appearing, but it's in the existing, right? And maybe that can be extended beyond. I didn't think this far ahead, but I think nature is a topic which people don't ever discuss enough, and it's something that I don't ever talk to end up talking to my friends about because even though there's so many interesting aspects you can compare and think about, it's so easy to take anything and everything for granted. But I think the beauty comes not just visually, but just in savoring it and knowing that it's there. Whether it won't, it won't be there, but that doesn't detract from it. And if anything, that adds to it because you know to savor it while it is there, I guess. Sorry if I've just been repeating myself, and if you're still watching, thanks a bunch. But yeah, I'll probably see you around, and until then, bye.